Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Flower Cardian Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for January 2023. I've been playing the Flower Cardian deck for a good while now. It's an awesome synchro deck that focuses on special summoning out a bunch of different Flower Cardian warrior monsters onto the field, adjusting their levels, and then special summoning out the appropriate synchro monster that you want for the situation. I feel like we need at least maybe one more Flower Cardian synchro to have in the extra deck. It can give you a full Flower Cardian extra deck if you wished, or even maybe a Flower Cardian Link monster, because there are cards that just limit us to Flower Cardian special summoning from the extra deck. So if we had a Link monster, it wouldn't really limit us at all for the plays we can do. And also, this was the deck used by Yugioh in the extra deck, a really awesome, dual tainer to see. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off with the Flower Cardian monsters, we are running 3 copies of Flower Cardian Pine. If this card is normal summon, draw 1 card, show it, then send it to the graveyard unless it is a Flower Cardian monster. You can only use this effect of Pine once per turn. If this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or is in your possession destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to your graveyard, you can draw 1 card. So you have a draw card off of when it's just normal summon, and also when it's destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, giving you more and more draw power to then set up the other Flower Cardian monsters that follow, because then Pine is basically your go-to one that you want to summon out in the field, because then you can special summon your additional Flower Cardian monsters. The next one being Flower Cardian Zebra Grass. Using our tuner, which I'm running Flower Cardian Peony with Butterfly as another special summon on the field, your main setup comes from first setting up all these other non-tuner Flower Cardian monsters on the field. With Zebra Grass, while you control level 7 or lower Flower Cardian monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You cannot normal or special summon for the rest of this turn except for Flower Cardian monsters. If this card is normal or special summon, you can reveal any number of Flower Cardian monsters in your hand, shuffle them into the deck, then draw the same number of cards. So if you have some Flower Cardian monsters that require more of a draw and setup and tribute, you can just put them back into the deck and then hopefully draw into some of the other special summonable Flower Cardian monsters on the field for you to use. So 3 copies of Zebra Grass along with 3 copies of Flower Cardian Willow. While you control level 10 or lower Flower Cardian monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot normal special summon except for Flower Cardian monsters. And once per turn, you can target 1 Flower Cardian monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and draw 1 card. So more of that resource usage that you can make up for. If you have the 3 Flower Cardians on the field, you can go for your level 6 synchro plays, which would either be your Flower Cardian Moonflower Viewing or your Flower Cardian Boardfly, having both of these options available to you as long as you have the tuner as well. The last of the easy special summon Flower Cardian monsters is Flower Cardian Polonia. You just have to have the lower level monsters in a sequence for all of these Flower Cardian cards. Or you control level 11 or lower Flower Cardian monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot normal or special summon for the rest of this turn except for Flower Cardian monsters. And when this card is targeted for an attack, you can negate the attack and end the battle phase and draw 1 card. So more of a defensive card for this one as well when this card's targeted for that attack. But just a great way if you do want to keep your Flower Cardian resources on the field for you to use, let's say, the following turn for an extra deck play. You can use Polonia as the attack negator and then just end the battle phase right then and there. For some of the other lower level easy special summon Flower Cardian monsters, running 3 copies of Flower Cardian Cherry Blossom. If you control a level 2 or lower Flower Cardian monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot normal or special summon for the rest of this turn except for Flower Cardian monsters. Once per turn, you can tribute 1 Flower Cardian monster to draw 1 card. If you do, show it. If it's a Flower Cardian monster, you take 1 Flower Cardian monster from your deck except for Cherry Blossom and either add to your hand or special summon it. So this can be the card to also help set up your tuner on the field, being just another easy special summon onto the field, because then the tuner, which is our Peony with Butterfly, will adjust all monsters, including itself on the field, to be level 2 to then go into our synchro plays. I also run 3 copies of Flower Cardian Cherry Blossom with Curtain. With this card, it cannot be normal summon or set. It must first be special summoned from its own effect. You can reveal this card in your hand, draw 1 card, and if you do, show it, then special summon this card. And if the drawn card is a Flower Cardian monster, otherwise, send it to the graveyard and this card. And during either player's damage step, when your Flower Cardian monster battles an opponent's monster, you can discard this card. The battling monster gains 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. It's a power-up for your Flower Cardians. A lot of our synchro monsters are big boss monsters, including our Flower Guardian Light Flare being 5,000 attack, but just an extra additional 1,000 could either mean the make or break play for you to use against your opponent also. for more destruction power with the Flower Cardian monsters, I also run 3 copies of Flower Cardian, Clover with Boar. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand by attributing 1 Flower Cardian monster except for Clover with Boar. If this card is special summoned, draw 1 card. And if you do, show it. Then if it's a Flower Cardian monster, destroy 1 monster your opponent controls. Otherwise, send it to the graveyard. We run a good majority of Flower Cardian monsters in the main deck, so there's a good chance that your draw will reveal a Flower Cardian. So then you'll have the destruction power with your Clover with Boar. The last Flower Cardian that we run in the main deck is 3 copies of Flower Cardian, Peony with Butterfly. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand by attributing 1 Flower Cardian monster, except for Flower Cardian, Peony with Butterfly. If this card is special summoned, draw 1 card. If you do, show it. Then if it is a Flower Cardian monster, look at the top 1 card of your opponent's deck, and then place them on the top of the deck or bottom of the deck in any order, and then otherwise send them to the graveyard. When this card is used as a synchro material, you can treat it as, and all the other synchro materials, as level 2 monsters. So our other Flower Cardian tuner is a little more difficult to summon out. You have to attribute in a level 11 monster. With Peony with Butterfly, you just have to special summon it out from your hand by attributing 1 Flower Cardian monster. So a lot easier, giving you that draw power and still having the adjusted tuner option for it and all your other monsters on the field. That is it for the main deck monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 copies of Flower Gathering. Special summon 4 Flower Cardian monsters with 100 attack and different names from your deck in attack position, but they have their effects negated. Also, they cannot be tributed for a tribute summon. You can only activate 1 Flower Gathering per turn. You cannot normal or special summon other Flower Cardians during the turn you activate this, except for Flower Cardian monsters. I may have said Flower Cardian, but just any other monsters except for this one. So we do have a good variety of 100 attack monsters, including Cherry Blossom with the original 4 that I had at the beginning of the video. So you could special summon all 4 of these monsters on the field as just an easy resource to use, and also they have their effects negated. But if you have your tuner in your hand, you then have that play to tribute the 1, adjusting all their levels with your Flower Gathering, and then being able to go for the required synchro summon of your choice. I also run 2 copies of Reincarnation. This card, you target 1 Flower Cardian monster in your graveyard, add it into your hand, and then you can special summon 1 Flower Cardian monster from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a Flower Cardian monster effect, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, place 1 excavated spell trap from your hand and the remaining cards on the top of the deck in any order. Now, if you wanted to run a 3rd copy of this card, you could just take out one of the 1-ofs that I run for the additional spell cards. It's a special summon setup card, so very, very useful there. There were just some spots that I was debating on what to run additional 3-of copies, and decided just to cut down Reincarnation as a 2-of, just because Flower Gathering sets up more and more monsters on your field for you to use. And I also run 3 copies of Allure of Darkness, so you can just get to the proper dark attribute monsters you need for the specific play you may be trying to go for, especially if you have multiples of the same Flower Cardian in your hand, and you won't be able to special summon out those specific names since you have to control 1 of a lower level to even special summon them from your hand to begin with. For some of the 1-ofs for the spells, I run 1 Super All-In with this card. It's more of a desynchro for our Flower Cardians, being able to special summon after returning a synchro monster, the 4 Flower Cardians from our graveyard, then draw 1 card, show it if it's a Flower Cardian monster, special summon it, and ignoring its summoning conditions. Otherwise, destroy as many monsters you control as possible. If you do, destroy at least 1, half your life points. And during the end phase of this card's in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn by a Flower Cardian effect. While in your possession, you can add 1 spell trap from your graveyard to your hand, giving you more of a recycle for any of them that I mentioned before. It's more of a risky one, that's why we're only running 1 card of this, but if you wanted to, you could take it out for a 3rd copy of Reincarnation, so you can then have the 3-of special summon for this card also. I also run 1 copy of Reinforcements of the Army for the Warrior Search, since they are warrior monsters. 1 for 1, just to get Flower Cardian Pied on the field that much more quickly. You won't use the normal summon, sadly, off this card, but it still gets you a resource on the field. And also 1 Monster Reborn and 1 Call by the Grave. If you wanted to put in a 3rd copy of Reincarnation into the deck, you can have this card be taken out for a 3rd copy by either taking out the 1 for 1 or the Super All-In. It's player preference with that choice. And then for the traps, just running 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. I didn't run Ash Blossom in the deck just because our tuner spot is taken with our Flower Cardian Peony with Butterfly for the tuner spot. And this is just more or less you wanted to run as many Flower Cardian cards in the deck for you to use. So with this, you have that additional option for just a monster effect negation on the field to use while not taking up too many spots away from the Flower Cardian cards. And then as for the Synchro monsters, I run 2 copies of Flower Cardian Moonflower Viewing. You need 1 tuner and 2 non-tuner monsters. Once per turn during your main phase, you can draw 1 card. If you do, show it. Then if it's a Flower Cardian monster, you can special summon it, ignoring summoning conditions. It can attack all directly this turn, and if you activate this effect, skip the draw phase of your next turn. When this card is used as Synchro material, you can treat it and all other Synchro materials as level 2 monsters. So this has the same card effect as Flower Cardian, P&E with Butterfly, being a Warrior Synchro tuner, just being able to adjust all the other ones you may set up on the field for even bigger Flower Cardian Synchro plays. I also run 2 copies of Flower Cardian Boardfly. If needs 1 tuner and 2 non-tuner monsters, if a Flower Cardian monster you control attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Once per turn, you can banish 1 Flower Cardian monster from your graveyard until the end of your opponent's next turn. Your opponent cannot activate card effects in the graveyard. Also, they cannot special summon monsters from their graveyard. This is just a graveyard shutdown card, so very, very useful for you to use against your opponent with that play. Being able to just banish 1 Flower Cardian monster from your graveyard to activate this card, and also giving the piercing battle damage to some of your bigger Flower Cardian monsters. I also run 1 copy of Flower Cardian Light Shower and 1 copy of Flower Cardian Light Flare. The level 8 and level 10 Synchro monsters. Your opponent cannot target Flower Cardian monsters you control with card effects. Also, those monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects. And during your opponent's draw phase, if they draw a card, for their normal draw, inflict 1,500 points of damage to your opponent. And once per turn during your opponent's end phase, activate 1 of these effects. You can either skip the draw phase of your next turn, or this card has its other effects negated to your opponent's next standby phase. So you'll either take away your draw, but still have an immense burn damage and power against your opponent with this card. And with Flower Cardian Light Flare, once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell or trap card, you can negate the activation. If you do, destroy this card. If a Flower Cardian you control battles an opponent's monster, that opponent's monster has its effects negated during the battle phase only. If this face-up Synchro card is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect while in its owner control, you can special summon 1 Flower Cardian Synchro from your extra deck except for Light Flare, giving you access to any of the Flower Cardian monsters that I have mentioned before already with this card. So very, very strong for that setup, and also being able to use this card as your go-to boss monster with 5,000 attack. If you wanted to run additional copies of either of these 2 Synchros, you can take out some of the Link monsters that I'm running in the deck additionally for these spots. For those Link monsters, 1 Link Karibo, 1 Isolde, along with 1 Wee Witch's Apprentice, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and 1 Apollosa, and 1 Saryuja, along with 1 Underworld Goddess. For all of the generic Link options you could go into, you are restricted a good amount of the time with your summons from the extra deck, except for Flower Cardian monsters. But if you want to run additional copies of Light Flare and Light Shower, you can take out the Underworld Goddess or even the Saryuja, and then one of the Link 2 options for additional copies of both of these cards. It's player preference there. And when you do resolve and have your Light Shower on the field, being able to protect your other Flower Cardians means that the following turn, if you have other monsters on the field, you can then use those cards for the Link summon of some of your generic cards, since the restriction is only for the turn you activate those Flower Cardian cards. And then lastly, for the Xyz monsters, 1 copy of number 39, Utopia Beyond. I go into this more often than not if I set up my Boardfly and Moonflower Viewing on the field. Both are level 6 Synchro monsters, so then I can just overlay the 2 and go into Utopia Beyond and have a way to get over some of my opponent's more pesky monsters by making all their attack of their monsters become 0 on the field. As for some of the go-to plays in the deck, with your Flower Gathering being a very important one, this card just gives you 4 special summons onto the field. So you'll go for the needed ones, of course. Your Cherry Blossom does have 100 attack as well, so it could be a potential target for all of these cards. It all depends for these summons, depending on what you have in your hand as well for the Flower Cardian cards, because then if you have, let's say, these cards on the field and you have the Willow in the hand, you can then just special summon Willow out onto the field, giving you 5 monsters, which then you can use if you have have your Peony with Butterfly in your hand, tributing one of the Flower Cardian monsters to special summon this card out onto the field, and then being able to use your Peony with Butterfly to make all the levels of the Flower Cardian monster in the field level 2, using all 5, then to go into the synchro summon of your go-to boss monster, being your Light Flare on the field. If you have this play set up, you can even then have the setup for even more monsters on the field with cards like your Recardination on the field. Activate, targeting a Flower Cardian monster in your graveyard, adding it to your hand, and being able to special summon one from your hand. So then just giving you that resource once again on the field for you to use later. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. It's a really awesome deck. Glad I was able to update it. Like I said, we just need another Synchro or Link monster to definitely make it a powerhouse to use for extra deck options. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Twig out.